Happy Thanksgiving to all and welcome to Sweet Home SEC. It's rivalry week. It's time to put a bookend on this football season, and teams are still in the mix. We're trying to figure this whole thing out. Come on. You've got Ohio State, Michigan. You've got the Iron Bowl. You've got Alabama, Auburn, and you've got Missouri, Arkansas coming up, the Battle Line rivalry. It is rivalry weekend in college football. Bring it home. We're going to take it home with you. Clint, Switzer, Noah Gronniger here. GreatAmericanSportsNetwork.com. That is where we are all archived. Everything you ever wanted to know about us and don't, all on the website, man. So as we come in here, we're going to be talking Iron Bowl with our guest, Jeris McIntyre, former Auburn wide receiver. We're going to get the War Eagle perspective on what is, in my opinion, the best rivalry in sports, the best rivalry in college football, certainly.
I do agree. That has to be it. Jeris McIntyre was 3-1 against the Crimson Tide. I don't know if he played this weekend. I think he's going to end up 3-2. Even with Jeris McIntyre, there's no chance for Auburn in this game.
CBS execs definitely, hiding their heads in the sand after Auburn lost that game to Georgia a couple weeks ago, meaning this game is, doesn't have a lot of meaning to it. In fact, Alabama could still lose this game and make the playoffs, to be honest. So
they could get killed 63-0 somehow, and they're still right there in the playoffs.
They win in Atlanta the next week, and they have to win one of their next two. They're a playoff team. That's how this is going to work. So it takes the shine off it a little bit because there's been so many recent games that have meant so much. Because to me, the reason why this is the biggest rivalry in college sports, think about this. Since 2008, only two SEC teams have played for a national championship, Alabama and Auburn. Alabama's won 4, Auburn's won 1, played in 2. So more often than not, that game is for the division. It's for the chance to represent the SEC in this case, now the playoffs, or back then, the BCS. Yeah. So here we are. This game doesn't have a lot of meaning, doesn't have a lot of cachet, but those people in Alabama, the people that call in the Paul Feinbaum show, the people that interact with us, certainly is. It's still the Iron Bowl.
There's no pro football teams in Alabama, so it's Auburn and Alabama, the Iron Bowl. That's all they care about. That's all they wait for. Even though Auburn doesn't have a chance, this isn't up for the division title, this still means everything for them. This is bragging rights in the state of Alabama. But I'm looking maybe at Michigan, Ohio State, especially this year. Wow. I mean, everything is on the table for both teams. Whoever loses is out. Whoever wins, everything's right there in front of them.
Is Ohio State, Michigan, can it compete with the Alabama-Auburn rivalry? Right now, obviously, this year it means more. It does.
It does.
But you look at this, and the Big Ten's a mess. If Ohio State wins this game, and Penn State's able to win this weekend, Penn State wins the Big Ten East. And what does that mean for Wisconsin and for Ohio State and Michigan, the loser?
Two Big Ten teams in the Final Four, maybe, possibly the playoff.
None. Two?
I don't know.
It could be as many as 2, as little as maybe they just get the 1. Maybe. Yeah. I don't know, but it's a mess. And I think when things start falling this way, I cheer for chaos. But does this mean, because Ohio State, Michigan, the winner of this game, doesn't even necessarily win the division, but is this a bigger rivalry than Auburn, Alabama?
It's tough to say. You have the pro sports teams in Michigan, in Ohio, so it might be a little less because everything isn't focused on that one game. It's not a huge rivalry. Everyone doesn't come together, no matter the records are thrown out. I know that's a cliche that's thrown out there a lot, but it actually is true in this Auburn-Alabama Iron Bowl. You can throw the records out. This is going to be a good game, a hard-fought game, and this is for bragging rights. This goes beyond the records.
Yeah, it does, and in this case, you look at it's rivalry week. We got Florida State, a non-conference rivalry coming to the forefront here, and a lot of teams kind of take the week off before their big rivalry game. Not the Florida Gators, who won the SEC East impressively. Big goal line stand at LSU. We know what it's like to try to go into LSU and get a win. Florida did it. That was only the second SEC East team to get a win over a West team on the season. Florida, impressive. They win the East. Tennessee goes home crying, man. That's got to be a disappointment for them, even though a 9-win season's on the table.
Yeah, and Tennessee looked like they were having a tough game with Mizzou, but then it kind of broke loose and they ran away with the game. But at halftime, they kind of learned that Florida had won the game. So their SEC East hopes were gone, but they came out and were impressive in the second half. They fought through it, but yeah, Florida took it. We both, I believe, said Tennessee at the beginning of the year with Josh Dobbs at quarterback and their impressive recruiting class, but Florida took it. Tennessee stumbled after their kind of late wins, cardiac kids, and then they stumbled and came down to earth, and Florida takes it.
Big deal for Missouri last Saturday, who goes into at Knoxville, puts up a school record, 734 yards of offense in a 26-point loss. That's hard to do. And I'm going to have some more thoughts at the end of the show on the Missouri Tigers. As many of you watch our show are Missouri fans, as am I. And I'm going to give you my little hot take on what this season means for Barry Odom and what this Missouri Tiger team can be going forward, because it's not been pretty and things are not looking good in Columbia. But I'll tell you what, Noah, before we go on with that, we're still talking Iron Bowl. We're talking about two teams that are definitely in the national spotlight, one of which is going to be in the college football playoff more than likely.
Yes.
That is Auburn, Alabama, and we're going to welcome our guest at this time. He is former Auburn wide receiver, Jeris McIntyre. Jeris, welcome to the show, man. How's everything going?
Yeah, it is, man. It's a great week. It's a great week, huge rivalry, and it's a little nerve-wracking, the week leading up to it and game day and everything that comes with it, but that's what makes it the Iron Bowl, and that's what makes it, in my opinion, the best rivalry in sports in general.
Well, how does Auburn do this? How do they pull the upset? You were 3-1 in your career against Alabama, but good thing you're not playing this week because you might be 3-2. We can't have that record go down there. So, what does Auburn do to pull off this big win?
Well, I think I guess we just got word. It just came out and said that Petway should be able to play, and hopefully he's close to 100%. I think if we can run the ball and make some plays in the passing game going deep, with our defense, I think we can put anybody in the country. It's going to be a matter of us moving the ball, getting into the end zone when we have the opportunities. Obviously, our field goal kicker making the field goals and get in the end zone, but we need balance to beat Alabama. So I think we're able to move the ball, and we can run it pretty well with Petway and our other running backs. I think we really, really have a legitimate chance. Like I said, with the way our defense has been playing all year, they give us a chance. They give us a chance in every ball game to win with our front seven and the way our DBs and defense has been playing as a whole. So I know we're a big underdog, but we're going on the road. But this year so far, I think we've played pretty well on the road, with the exception of last week against Georgia. We're all banged up, but I think we should be a lot more. Well, the team should be a little more healthy than they were 2 weeks ago in Athens. So hopefully we have better results on Saturday.
Well, and how disappointing was it a couple weeks ago? Georgia gets upset at Georgia. I'm sorry, Auburn gets upset at Georgia, and kind of ending the chances for this to be for an SEC West championship. I mean, I still had Auburn as a 2-loss possibility for the college football playoff until that happened. If they had been able to pull off this upset here, so how disappointing is that this game that has so many times come down to for the division championship in the West that this is not the case, and we have Auburn really a game going on the road playing for pride, playing for the rivalry, playing for the state of Alabama. I mean, it is disappointing though, don't you think, that it's not for the division?
Yeah, it was pretty disappointing. I mean, I watched the game and just seeing how we were depleted. Our quarterback was hurt. All the running backs were down. It was tough. It was very, very tough. And that happens playing in the SEC in the tough conference that we were playing in. Over the course of the season, guys get banged up, and it just happened to be that game that we really needed against a pretty good Georgia team. I know people this year were not thinking they were too well, but they're talented. They're a talented young football team on the road, and they're seeing anything can happen. And when it's depleted with injuries, it was just tough to try to overcome. Defense played probably the best game, one of the best games they played all year. Georgia didn't score, but it was still tough for us to get in the end zone without a lot of our running backs and a banged up quarterback. So it was very, very disappointing, but I think we can make up for it, and I think it will make the season if somehow we can go to Tuscaloosa pull out this upset.
Absolutely, and we've seen a magic in this rivalry before, but in this case, what is it that makes this Alabama team so good? A lot of people talking like this is maybe the best team Alabama's had, and they're doing that with a true freshman quarterback in Jalen Hurts. They're doing that without a 1,000-yard rusher or receiver, but this defense is so good. The front seven maybe is good. Like you talk about Auburn's being good. Alabama's has been just dominant. They haven't lost a game by fewer than 19 points. What makes this particular Alabama team so good and so invincible looking on paper?
Well, I think it starts with the defense, just like with Auburn. I think that front seven is loaded with NFL football players. They have some pretty good DBs, like they've always had. So I think that defense is so dominant, and it makes it difficult for everybody. in anybody that they play. On top of, like you said, Jalen Hurts, the true freshman coming in, and being that similar dual threat quarterback that Auburn's had over the years. And I think a lot of teams aren't used to Alabama having that, and that just brings a whole other dimension to what Lane Kiffin is doing offensively for them. So I think it starts with that front seven on their defense, and they're probably as dominant that Nick Saban has had. So I think that is the biggest part, and that's what makes them such a tough team to beat, because with that front seven, I mean, it's tough to move the ball at all, passing or running, because they can get to the quarterback. They can stop the run. So I think that's the strength of their team, and that's what makes them that's why they're undefeated and number one team in the country. So hopefully we can do some things to throw them off guard, and with our run game being one of the tops in the nation, hopefully we can run the ball on them to kind of soften them up on some key passes and some intermediate passes, and give us a chance.
I just wanted to get your thoughts on this Heisman race. Jalen Hurts is in it. He's had an impressive season as a true freshman. It's unbelievable. But what do you think are his chances with Lamar Jackson kind of having some disappointing games the last couple of weeks? Do you think he's in the race, or do you still think it's Lamar Jackson's? It's his. It's been his all season.
I think it's Lamar Jackson. It's been his all season. He's had a couple hiccups throughout the course of the season, but the numbers he's put up and the things he's done offensively for his team, they wouldn't be. I don't even think. I don't want to say not a top 25 team, but it wouldn't be far-fetched to say they wouldn't even be a top 25 team if he wasn't on that football team. He's just that good of a football player, and the future is super bright for him. Hell, I think he may even win it again next year the way he plays the game. So I think he's a Heisman front runner. I don't think it's a question with anybody else. Like I said, just from the things he does for his offense, similar to Cam Newton did at Auburn. I mean, with him being able to run and throw and being the leader that he is, he's, in my eyes, the Heisman winner. It's not even close with anybody else.
Well, let's talk about Auburn's quarterback going into this game. It looks like it will be Jeremy Johnson playing the final game of his career. In what's been a disappointing career at Auburn that started with such promise, and a lot of people thought going into last year that he'd be a Heisman Trophy candidate. It hasn't worked out, but here he is with this chance. Talk about Jeremy Johnson and the opportunity that he has coming up here on Saturday.
Oh, well, hey, if he's the guy. He's the guy. He has to go. I mean, he's been in big games before. He's won some. He's lost some. He has the ability, and if hopefully, if he's a guy behind center, he plays well and gets the chance to win, because he does have the ability. So he looked pretty sharp last week, and like I said, early in his career, before last season against Arkansas and some other games where he threw the ball around. I mean, he looked really, really good. So if he's the guy, he just has to make plays down the field. And I think we should also, and we probably will also mix and match some John Franklin III to give us a change of pace in the backfield, quarterback position, to keep it honest with our zone read game. So it should be interesting, but I think they're both capable of making plays. And it's one game, it's one game on the course of the season. So anybody can go out there, and I don't say anybody, but anybody with some ability can go out there and have a day and be successful. So hopefully that both of those guys have a day. And I don't know if Sean White is ruled out officially, so that's I know he has shoulder problem and whatnot, so that's still up in the air. He's okay. And then we've seen him do big things this season as well. So any of the three, I think, will have a chance. If they have a good day, and we're protecting up front to make plays and help us come out victorious.
Well, Jeris, you're going to be at the game, and are you going to be available to suit up if that offense needs a spark?
Hey, I'm ready, man. Hey, I'm always ready. I give them 1 or 2 plays. That's about it, though.
Well, yeah, I mean, someone that played in this rivalry. I mean, you were a 3-year starter at Auburn, offensive captain. I mean, you were 3-1 in your career. Just for people, we're here in Kansas City. I appreciate this rivalry as much as anyone. To me, it's the best rivalry in sports. But to those that turn on the game on Saturday, that are from another state, from Missouri, from Tennessee, that turn this on, tell us just a little bit about this, how important this is to the state of Alabama. Because to me, there's nothing that is associated with the state of Alabama than college football itself in Auburn, Alabama. I mean, just give us a rundown of what this rivalry means, what it's like the week of the game, how the fans are. Just kind of give us a rundown of what that's like down there.
I mean, there's no professional sports. Neither one of our schools are known, and maybe Charles Barkley would beg to differ, but neither one of our schools are known for basketball. Well, I guess they're both pretty good or pretty decent, have some great players, but they're not really known for that. So Auburn is known for football. Alabama is known for football. No professional teams in the state. And it's just passion by both fan bases to make this game and this rivalry takes to another level. And there have been great games, 6-6, been great players from both sides, because, like I said, both schools have a tradition of putting out great football players and having really good football teams. And it's nothing I think that can match it, especially with there being no professional sports. And like I said, just the passion from the fan base to make this rivalry, like you just said, the best, I think, in sports overall. So it's very intense. It's very, very intense. And teams go back and forth. And I just think it should be a good one Saturday.
That's right. And so, of course, before we let you go, anytime we talk to you about this game, which we have a few times in the past, we ask you for a prediction and a score, and we hold you to it. Jeris, what's this game going to look like? Who wins this game on Saturday?
Well, we're going to say the Auburn Tigers, because I was pretty successful in going against them. So when I think about Alabama, I think of a lot of good victories that we had over those course of 4 years. Score-wise, man, I don't know. That's two great defenses. I would have to say somehow we figure a way to score 3 touchdowns, and they score 2 in a field goal. So I'll say Auburn 21, Alabama 17.
Hey, sounds good. We've seen some miracles on the plains. Maybe we will see a miracle in Tuscaloosa. Jeris McIntyre, always great catching up with you. Good luck to the Auburn Tigers. War Eagle for you, my man, and we will talk soon, buddy. Thanks so much.
Thank you, and a War Eagle.
You betcha. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot to Jeris McIntyre for joining us, talking Iron Bowl. I like his optimism. I don't agree. I think Alabama wins this game somewhere in the neighborhood of 38-17, something like that. An easy win for Alabama, but you never know.
They score more than Chattanooga. Auburn gets it done. They score more than 3 points. Chattanooga. I call that a victory. Moral victory. Take that home.
I think that Screech Powers from Saved by the Bell could have been playing quarterback for the Crimson Tide and sleptwalk through that game against Chattanooga, and they would have won the game. I think that was the biggest sleepwalk game you'll ever see. Hey,
Chattanooga had the lead, 3-0. Don't sleep on Chattanooga.
As we look forward to championship games, though, surprises in college football.
I think probably Colorado for me. They sit at number 10 right now. They beat Utah. They're in the championship game, Pac-12 championship against Washington.
Washington State. That's still on the board. The Apple Cup, man. Football matters again in the state of Washington. Even though the Huskies are coming off lost 2 weeks ago to USC, and the Washington State Cougars coming off a loss to the very Colorado team you're talking about out of the Pac-12 South. The winner of the Pac-12 North comes down to the Apple Cup. Washington State, Washington's still in line for a playoff spot, an impressive team all year. Can they get back in, though, with the Pac-12 being a little bit down? I don't think they can unless chaos ensues, which it tends to do.
Yeah, and then you're looking at Colorado. What if Colorado beats Utah, then they beat Washington? Like you said, chaos, a lot of chaos would have to ensue for Colorado to jump up in there. But they do play number 12, Utah. Then they got a chance at number 6. Maybe if they move up a little bit, number 5, Washington. So there's still some hope, outside hope for Colorado to make the college football playoff, which would be insane.
Outside hope for any of the 2-loss teams that I've been mentioning. I actually had mentioned 3 2-loss teams that included Auburn until they lost 2 weeks ago. Wisconsin, Oklahoma, still alive at all. We saw Oklahoma's playing as good as they have since last season, and Oklahoma, coming down to it, they don't have a championship game. Interestingly enough, they play the Oklahoma State Cowboys this weekend. Winner wins the Big 12. But if this were next year, the 2 exact teams would rematch the next week in Dallas because there are no divisions in the Big 12. That's crazy. They would rematch no matter what. So it's like that could create some odd situations there in the Big 12 because that's what the Big 12 does. I don't think they get a team in. I don't think it's possible. Oklahoma State lost to Central Michigan on a Hail Mary. That's going to keep them out even if they win. In Oklahoma, too much damage done early. Louisville's out. My goodness, what about the Houston Cougars? They still play football down there, apparently.
Yep. And Tom Herman looks like he's going to slide right into that Texas job down to Charlie Strong. Lost to Kansas.
What did we learn from that? You can't lose to Kansas. You can't lose to the University of Kansas and keep your job.
I would have fired.
Stay employed.
I don't know what took Texas so long. I would have fired him at halftime. This is a close game. Are you kidding? This is Kansas. You are out of here, buddy. No.
Take your own Uber ride back to Austin from Lawrence, man. I tell you, that's terrible. And what he did it's really unbelievable because I think Charlie Strong has a lot of ability as a head coach. His team planning, maybe some players planning a boycott this week against TCU. Where have we heard that before? No one would ever do that except for at Missouri where just everything's wrong. No, Texas is thinking about it too. It was one of the best jobs in the country. Tom Herman seems to be a perfect fit. And hearing a lot of smoke now about Jimbo Fisher to LSU because I don't think Ed Ogeron, due to a goal line stand, they were stopped on the goal line. I don't think Ed Ogeron is going to be up for that job. Things are just getting crazy though, man.
They are. Jimbo Fisher goes to LSU. Nick Saban might be shaking in his boots a little bit, seeing Jimbo Fisher come over. Like, okay, this could be something here. I might lose my streak of going to national championships. I'm going to have to fight for it. Not only is Auburn getting better, and I got to deal with them, but LSU with Jimbo Fisher, that could be scary.
Yeah, absolutely could. So as we turn on our televisions and we settle around our families, and in my family, no, I don't know how it is at your house, but the football's always on. The TV's always on Thanksgiving. Then the day after going to the Mizzou-Arkansas game, I'm really just so excited for that as Missouri has its star running back, Demaria Crockett, suspended. But we have football on. I believe one year my aunt tried to suggest maybe we could just have the volume off while we eat this year, and she was met with a resounding absolutely not.
I'm with your aunt.
Oh, that is just...
It's all about family time. I help my dad work on the car. I help my mom crochet a few things. No TV on. It's a really good time just enjoying turkey, family stories, memories, history. Family photos are brought out just as we're laying on the sofas, recliners, crocheting. And then later on in the night, I help my dad with his car as my mom is laying in bed reading a nice book. And it's just beautiful time spent with family, no football. We don't need that interrupting.
That's what it's all about here in Sweet Home SEC because this was born to be a show where you could literally pull up a chair, grab some sweet tea, and just watch with us and take this journey with us. And we're so glad you've done it this entire season. We are going to, of course, be back as the bowls come up. Bowl season's in the air. Can't wait for that Meineke Car Care Bowl featuring Temple and UConn.
And don't miss Crochet Conversation. That's my other YouTube channel. Me and my mom are on there. We've got it all covered for you, so please don't forget to check that out. Crochet Conversation. Find that YouTube channel.
That's funny because that actually might get some hits. But tell you what, as I send you out, this is my segment. It's called The Bigger Picture. As we send you out here, I know we were nice and calm. I know things were great. We're going into Thanksgiving. It's a loving feeling, right? Wrong if you're a fan of the Missouri Tigers, because what you've witnessed, and Missouri, rest assured, they're going to be 3-9 after this loss to the Arkansas Razorbacks on Friday. And let me tell you this, Barry Odom comes in here, people believe, people said, hey, he's a true son. He'll come in here, he can assemble a staff. He gets Damani Cross, Josh Heupel, Drew Locke's coming back. And what did we see? We saw an inconsistent offense all year, a quarterback that hasn't gotten any better. We saw a running back, a true freshman running back in Demaria Crockett that took half the season to start getting carries. We saw a defense, Noah, that went from 5th ranked in the country in 2015 to something like 117th. This team got incrementally worse, and it's pathetic. It's been a terrible year and a half for Missouri fans to have to sit there and watch the products that are put on the floor and on the field of play in these situations, basketball and football. Missouri fans are yearning, just hoping for something better. And what ray of hope do we have right now when you've got 50,000 people at a game sitting there on their hands watching Missouri get blown out by Kentucky, not be competitive in these games, barely beat Vanderbilt. Missouri is going to finish last in the SEC East, okay, for the second straight year. What hope do you have? 3-9 on the season. This is the worst Missouri team since 1989 and Bob Stoll. Where's this going to get better at? Missouri next year has a more favorable schedule. Can they maybe get to 6 wins? Can they put together a competent recruiting class? Can they start going on some facilities that are going to help this team compete? I don't know. I don't have the answer to that, but I'll tell you this much. I'm worried, I'm concerned, and I don't know what the future holds for the Missouri Tigers. But right now, it's hard to see a light at the end of that tunnel.
Well, Missouri's 3-8 right now. Apparently, you've already given them the loss to Arkansas, 3-9.
I told you at the onset. I've given them the loss. It's already counting the loss to Arkansas. And how can you not? Why wouldn't you? You got your star running back suspended, arrested for marijuana possession. He's a 1,000-yard rusher over an 8-game period. Demaria Crockett looks like a star in this league. And, of course, Missouri, who can't have nice things, he gets suspended for a game. You've got linebackers talking trash to Arkansas saying if you show up, you're not going to want to see what happens. Good Lord. Someone get this program under control. Maybe Jim Sturk, the athletic director, is going to have to start taking some accountability 2 months into the job because someone's going to have to. Leadership has been severely lacking at this school for so long, and I am tired of watching the product that's been put on the field. Back-to-back SEC East champs know from 13 and 14. To see where this program's fallen, it's almost unprecedented. Almost unprecedented, okay?
The preceding announcement was paid for by the Great American Sports Network.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Yes.